Check. Hey, gentlemen,
Good afternoon, sir.
how are y'all?
Good.
Sound good tonight?
Yes, sir.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've been working feverishly in this thing, practicing.
Okay. Looks like you got it down.
Don't jinx me yet,
Okay.
but it's getting better, I guess. But who we have on? We have Jason. Jer- who's that?
Yeah, Jason's on here.
Jason's on. Okay, I thought it was. He's back there in the back somewhere. Well, good evening, everyone. It's Thursday night saws, and very proud to be here tonight. And we are looking at kind of an open mic tonight. I've got some of the panels coming in, kind of check things out a little bit. But we've got kind of a project going right now. I'm calling Here to There. And so what that means is trying to get information from here, from your head to somebody else's, or somebody else's head to yours, and thinking through the process of how did you learn about operating chainsaws? In other words, was it a parent? Was it a grandparent? Was it a coworker at a job? Was it something you learned from the seat of your pants? How did you learn about chainsaw operation? And so that's kind of what we're looking for a chat about tonight. And then also anything as far as question and answers on chainsaws. We had some good questions came in last week. We have some workshops and things that are going on. I want Chris and all to help talk about that a little bit. And we're going to just kind of go down through tonight any questions, and hopefully some of you check on, and we're able to kind of get some conversations going. So tonight is more or less an open chat. And so, how did you learn? What did you learn when somebody talked to you? So, hey, John Chafin, hope you're doing good. And Lee, I will post that up right now. I think. Lee, send me an email at info@forestapps.com, and I will forward it to you. Just send me an email at info@forestapps.com. But we've anyone that would like to log in tonight on Zoom, and we can get you lined up on that. John Chafin, you're out of the woods early tonight. Just has got dark. You're going to start working longer hours. Let's see if I can get, oh, maybe I will get the chat up here. Jeremy, Jason, tell me about what you've been doing, what's going on. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, I've been under the weather a little bit, so I might not come across real good, but I've been down here with Chris training the co-ops, learning a lot. Every day, it's really awesome to see how the new trainees, when they start and they're real nervous and say they've never heard of a bore cut, let alone done one, and then by day 3 and now day 4, they're doing great with it. It definitely speaks volumes to the training that you passed on.
So y'all are doing, Chris, you're doing the on the line training this week.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
So explain what was that? You started off on Monday. It's 5 days.
Yeah, we started Monday, did the 3 day saw class. On the end of day three, I kind of did a demo. We took a derrick and put a tree on a line and showed them how to use the open face notch and get them down. And then today, all day, we've been cutting trees, picking them up, sitting them on the line, letting all the trainees go through. Just using our open face notch on the top of the tree and then doing the undercut and kind of showing them how you can guide that tree to the ground depending on where you put your face notch on what side. You can get it to go left, get it to go right. Kind of look up at the line, see which way. If I can get the base to go this way, slide that tree right off the limb. So been really really good, great group of guys.
Yeah. And you're in Alabama,
Yes, sir. Troy, Alabama.
Troy, Alabama. Well, and you have any guys from Central down there? I saw
Yeah,
one post you had. Tell us about what happened there. You had a little competition going on.
yeah. We had a little competition. Just showing them how to use a stick to gauge their height and then figure their side lean and their back lean. And I have them drive a stick in the ground where they think the tree's going to go as far as height and side to side. And we had one of the guys from Central nail it perfect. It was dead center, and he was 3/16 of an inch away from the stick. That's how good he was on his height. So I don't know that I've ever seen anyone that close since I've been doing this. It was cool. Everybody was cheering. He was excited. I showed you that picture. I told him that was better than holding a big fish, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. He was definitely close to the end of that pine tree top, that's for sure.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's one guy on here tonight, John Chafin. He was one of the competitors up in New York. He's from West Virginia. He's logger in West Virginia. But he was in the game of logging program in West Virginia, and he won the chance to go up to the national finals
Mm.
and or won the region. No, we had a regional that year or not. But anyway, he ended up in New York, did very well. But John's pretty doggone good on the height measure and the cutting too. But he's got soft. He was a young snapper back then, and he's gotten old, and he's sitting in one of those feller bunchers now. I think most of the time, but maybe he'll get out and get himself back in shape with the saw again. But I don't know if he's still on there listening, but he'll probably watch the video and get mad at me. But yeah, that's something to think through there. So, and what do you have going on the last of the month?
Um, we've got an open enrollment class coming up.
Yeah, and tell us about that. That's going to be and where and what.
So it's going to be just outside of Danville, Virginia. Open enrollment. We're going to do a 3 day sawing class. Going to have a lot of folks in town from that have been through the legacy. So you're going to get a lot of information. It's going to be a great class out at the Carty's Berry Farm. So great spot to cut. Lots of tall pine trees, and we'll have a good time of sawing and hanging out and answering questions. And anyone that signs up will learn a bunch. Um, I didn't know much about operating a chainsaw until I went through this exact same class. So it's been a life changer for me.
Well, we call it the storm sawing workshop because it has a lot ending up with a lot of bucking and limbing and also looking at hangers and those kinds of things. So we call it storm sawing workshop, but it's a great class, I think, for anyone that's new to chainsaws as well as has experience and you're looking for some added techniques or really looking at taking and applying some refresher type things. So it's be a pretty neat workshop for you. And we have one going on in Georgia, Kingston, which would be April the 2nd through the 4th, and then we'll be up there the 25th through the 27th in Virginia with Chris. And we also have a very interesting thing there too. If you log into that class, sign into that class, we're going to have a legacy program. Our legacy instructor program finals will be finishing up there that weekend also. And so we got a group of guys coming in that are involved in last year's legacy instructor program and also this year's. They'll be finishing up the 2024 first half 2024 program April the 22nd, and I think several of them are going to try to come up to finish up. Well, we have 12 weeks of ongoing Zoom program that we do on Tuesday nights. It's about an hour and a half every Tuesday night, and then we take and once we finish those 12 weeks, we're going to hold a in the woods session for a couple days, and so we're going to kind of tie into that up there. So if you sign up for that class, you'll get a double whammy. So it's good to think about that. And all the costs and everything on those are on our e-store, which is, if you look on our website at www.forestapps.com, it's got a link on there for that. And I'll put up a QR code that you can snap with your camera and be able to find that it goes directly to that site, so you can look at how to sign up for those things. So that's pretty good program to get involved in. So I think you'll find it to be pretty cool. And we got Michael Oxman. Are you signed in there? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Nice to see everybody here tonight. Looks like we're gonna talk some chainsaw stats.
Well, yeah, a little bit of chainsaw. We're also, I've got a thing that I've been working on now. I had a session Monday night on here to there, and that's a little bit about how to get information from one head to another, or how did you get information from somebody else's head. And so we're kind of opening that up if anybody's interested in it. And we got Chris Childs on here, and also Jason from God's Pit Crew, and so they're down doing some work down in Alabama with power companies, electrical membership co-ops. And Michael, I remember you mentioned a little bit about it, but what got you started? You got involved with ISA on the Western chapter and stuff, but really, where did you start picking up techniques as far as chainsaw operation? And I guess you passed it along to that son of yours too, huh?
Yeah, my kid Robert has taken over now. He's my climber. I'm retired from climbing, and I've gotten a promotion. I'm now in charge of loading the branches in the truck.
Well, that's a tough job, you know.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me touch a chainsaw for the first month. I was 17. I was right out of high school, and that was back when they still had saws that had two handles on them. We switched within a few years over to the one-handers, sometimes called topping saws. And boy, those were the glory days when that Power Mac 10 came out. Boy, that was a fantastic saw. It weighed probably, maybe 9 or 10 pounds, ridiculous. But we would burn them up in the heat. It's pretty easy to juggle a saw when it's that light. It's a kind of a different ball of wax now. The MS-201 and some of these smaller ones are pretty nice too. And of course, everything's going electric now. I think gasoline's pretty much done.
Well, I'm hoping it holds off a little bit. I don't know how many they'll get built and stuff, but there's going to be some guys kind of in bad shape till they get the bigger batteries out there, because it's kind of tough to put a 36-inch bar on one of those things. But I guess they will eventually. I know I've heard that they've got some up in 70 cc power already, so it's going to be interesting to see how all of that kind of washes out. It's they're amazing tools though. The batteries are pretty strong. I think, Chris, y'all are using some of the battery units, aren't you?
Yeah, we got some batteries. Makitas. That's what we're running right now. Got a pole saw. We got a steel pole saw too, but got a Makita top handle and a couple with regular, saws with 18-inch bars. They work really well on small stuff.
Very good. And you were pretty much still in diapers when you started running saws, weren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Just living out in the country with my dad, cutting firewood, and then started working for a custom home builder, and we cleared all the lots. But didn't really understand notches and hinges and all of that stuff until I took the 3-day class with you.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And so, how old were you when you first started operating the saws?
Probably 13, something like that. Cutting firewood.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Old.
Chris, I'm interested in knowing how old were you when you first cut yourself with the saw?
Let's see. The first time I cut myself with a saw, I was probably 30, 34. I cut myself pretty good with a top handle up in a bucket truck.
So you had a pretty good run there for a while.
I had a good run for a while, but it's probably because the saws were so dull I couldn't cut myself.
How
Oh,
about how about you, Jay Latz? I don't know you. Hi, I'm Michael from Seattle.
Hello. I started running a saw when I was probably, I think I was about 12 years old, and we got our first fireplace. Um, and the first cut I ever remember, I was a freshman in high school, and I cut my knee on it. So I was probably 14 or 15. It didn't take me near as long as it took it took Chris to cut himself.
so how old were you, Jason, when you?
I was 12 when I got my first saw. I still have it actually. It was a home light. My dad bought it off of a guy that cut firewood, and he bought it for me, and that's what I used to cut firewood with when I was 12. And the first time I cut myself, I didn't have chaps on or anything back then. I didn't even know what chaps were, but I don't remember if I was cut it when I was starting it or whatnot, but it went right through my left knee or my left pant leg and cut my left knee pretty good. And I was probably 14 or 15. I was either a freshman or sophomore in high school. It was before I could drive. I do remember that.
Well, just got a message here from Trey Fissler. He said, I spent time on the family farm clearing trees with my grandfather in my teen years, and I worked summers for an arborist. And a few years ago, received a formal instruction from the LCMS disaster response. Huh. So I guess Trey, you're up from. Are you from around Chicago, or where are you? Where are you located? Hey Lee, I put the link on the chat on YouTube, but I will see if I see your. Yep, I got it. I'll get this sent over to you. Lee was in Monday night, and he has quite a lot of experience on saws and stuff. And I think he wanted to sign on here tonight too. A good addition to the panel, I think. If I can get this sent to him. Return mail. All right. Let's see if you can log on with that, Lee. If anybody's interested in joining in tonight, whoops, cannot send mail. Let's see what the deal is. Oh, I got it now. If you'd like to log on, the invite is on the chat. And I'll put it back up on here too. All you need is just the two. Hey, Mike Dirksen.
We got Mike Dirksen on here.
Yeah, Mike's on. Hey, Mike, I just put a link on there, and I'll put it back up.
Wow, I've been meaning to tell Mike Dirksen this for probably 20 years now. And if he can hear us, Mike, you came to Seattle to give a class for, oh boy, the Vermeer dealership, right when Toby first got hooked up with Vermeer. And I have about 4 hours of video of you teaching this class. There you go. So it's in a drawer. It's on these little cassette tapes. So one of these times, those are going to show up on YouTube, and you may have seasoned a little bit since then.
I didn't have a camera then, but I could get some good pictures of him when we were at the first classes up around Chicago. He was managing some crews up there before he started. Well, he was training then because he was teaching employees, but he's very good with the chainsaws, no doubt about that, and other things too. There he goes. Maybe he'll get on here. But you can send me an email at info@forestapps.com and I can forward it to you also, Mike. So he says, I sure can hear you, Michael. He said, I remember that well.
It was fantastic. It was indoors. There was, I think there might have been a tree with a rope hanging from it, but not much opportunity to get around. It rains up here in Seattle, and so occasionally we'll get to go outside. About half the year we can go outside. Rest of the year we got to be indoors and do all our tree work.
Yeah, it rains in Seattle, huh? All the time this time of year, huh?
Well, I hope I didn't get everybody off on the bad foot by talking about the negative part, but I've never been shy about saying that death awaits me, and it's what keeps me alive. The possibility of cutting my nose off. I mean, I'm running this chainsaw a foot away from my nose, and it's up to me. There's like nobody else is going to be able to help or limit what I do. And so if I have the the self-awareness to run that saw safely, keep both those thumbs wrapped around those handlebars, then there's a possibility that I'm going to survive until coffee break or lunch or even till Miller time after. And everybody that runs chainsaws knows this. This is what makes us fantastically confident people. All of the people that are on this conversation right now, you guys are some smart people. You've managed to keep yourself alive. You might get a few nicks and things here and there, but wow, is it ever nice to look forward to tomorrow, and we can do some more chainsaw juggling tomorrow and have even more fun with the devil whizzing around our face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in the planning process. That's for sure to keep it from happening. Hey, we got Lee Dawkins on, and Lee, if you'll unmute, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Good evening.
Hey, good to hear you. Hey, I got one thing before I forget it. You checked on there Monday, and I had some different giveaway things, and I was going to check with you and see. I've got a couple of Husqvarna hats. I've got the standard here, and I've got a special edition. And if you'll email me your mailing address, I will send the one that you like.
Well, there's no need of that, my friend.
Well, that was kind of in the deal for Monday, so
Oh,
that that's a brand new hat. It looked good on you. You're a Husky guy. Tell everybody about what you're doing. I think you got a cool project going on.
oh, I'm in Virginia cutting down some invasive trees along the Rappahannock River, but just so they don't take over. But I had a question for you, Tim.
Uh-huh.
Say, what do you do on the like an outboard clutch? How do you keep that clean, or how important is it to clean between the drum and the shoes?
Are you talking about outboard sprocket or outboard clutch? In other words, your sprocket is to the inside of the clutch,
Sprockets on the inside, yeah. The
so you can see your shoes on the outside.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You know, it does tend to build up kind of dried and burned dust behind the shoes sometimes. Sometimes you can even get a squealing of the bearing and stuff because it builds up so much behind the shoes that it kind of grabs, and when it's idling it kind of grabs and can turn the drum around and bearings. But it has to be spun off. The clutch is actually a right hand thread there, and so you have to spin that off right-handed, and then the drum and the sprocket bearing and sprocket come off. And you can keep that blown out, and you can keep it kind of rinsed out too, like with WD-40 or something like that. That you can spray it, and that'll try to keep that clean back behind there. But or brake fluid some people use, but to take and keep that cleaned off so it doesn't tighten up against your drive system, the clutch shoes. But the inboard ones tend to do that more than the outboard. Like on the most all the steel models, and also Husqvarna above about 70 cc's, where you have the inboard clutches, uh, it'll build up behind the drum. You'll notice on some of the drums they're actually vented on the outside so that some of that stuff comes out, but it still builds up. And a lot of times in commercial use, it's kind of what I put on a weekly reduced downtime maintenance. Is you get up about uh, you know 40, 60 hours, something like that. Definitely this is time to clean it, and you're usually getting uh, you know, close to sprocket wear too. So you want to make sure that you keep an eye on that. And then the bearings should be cleaned and greased at about those same intervals too. But it's according to how you use it. It's according to how much you use it. You just have to keep a watch on it and build yourself a rule of thumb there. But there's special tools that you can use to get the clutch off. Um, they make a drive hub that you can use with an impact wrench or a spanner type wrench. And if you use a spanner type wrench, you just about have to have a spark plug tool. You take the spark plug out and put a piston stop in there for it to back out. But most shops are using a light air wrench and that hub tool to take it off clockwise. And then all you do is you just spin it back on finger tight, and it'll pretty much tighten itself up as soon as you start it.
Yeah, just the clutch, it'll get in the drum between the shoes and stuff. You'll get grease from the idler bearing, and you'll get bar oil and stuff like that. And I grew up in North Dakota, and we ran a lot of snowmobiles, and you find out with the centrifugal clutch, you can gain a lot of power if your clutch works right. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious, from an old master like yourself,
Old. Now,
If you
don't go there now.
if you had any, kind of what you do to the clutch or how you maintain it to make it bite like it should, and
Well, they pretty much will, the shoes, if you keep them fairly clean and you don't overheat the clutch springs and the clutch assembly, you'll have pretty tight, connection there when you RPM up. So that's usually not an issue with it. And even if you spray oil or something on there, if you just for 5 seconds or so put the brake on and hit your throttle a little bit, it cleans all the oil off that clutch really fast. So it's not that big of an issue. You do need to keep it cleaned out from debris and stuff so it doesn't start creeping around with you. Well, Lee, let me swap over here to Mike Dirksen. He's the old guy out here. Hey, Mike. Are you muted? I don't hear you. Doesn't show you muted. It's usually me that has the problems with the audio and the video, but I'm glad to see somebody else is used to it. Now it's showing muted. There you go.
How's that?
Yeah. You're still looking kind of young. You just got gray hairs all.
Yeah, getting my gray there.
Still looking kind of young. You just got gray hairs all.
Getting my gray there.
Still looking kind of young. You just got gray hairs all. You're looping around there pretty good. You have something else playing there? You may have to shut your speaker off too. You may have to shut your speaker off too.
Oh, how's that?
I've probably got it. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Tell everybody what you do.
I can hear you.
Tell everybody what you do.
Well, right now, I work for the city of Springfield. I work for the city of Springfield.
Yeah, you got two.
I started in 1979 on the forestry crew, and then worked my way up to city arborist in 1988, and then I retired in 2015. So I'm just having fun now.
I guess it's about probably 1990 or something like that, or it might have been in the end of the 80s when I first came up there. When was that? That was probably going to be after Ken, so that would be 95. We were up there, 96.
Yeah, 95.
Yeah, it's still a long time.
1995, Tim.
Yeah, 95. Yeah, you had crews going on and a bunch of people interested in training them and working with us. And went really good, really good. And so you still are managing teams? So you still are managing teams?
No, not any longer. No. I'm just I do
not any longer. No.
I do adventure motorcycle trips all over the world now.
I do
adventure motorcycle trips all over the world now.
I do adventure motorcycle trips all over the world now.
Looks like somebody's got two browsers open.
Yeah, I think Mike's browser.
I really liked your trip to Mount Kilimanjaro, Mike. That was fantastic. I was so glad that you had enough cell phone coverage to be able to upload constantly throughout that trip. I didn't think that you'd be in good contact with a cell tower. Throughout that trip, I didn't think that you'd be in good contact with a cell tower.
Yeah, we had really good contact. I was surprised too. Yeah.
Mike, I think you got
I got
two versions of Zoom up probably. You may have to log out and back in and look on the thing and just click the audio when
Let
you
me
get
log out.
yeah, he's got looping on his side. Had a message here from Dan Medic. I don't know anything about sawing until I took Tim's felling and bucking class in 2011. I was working a habitat restoration job where I was using a saw every day for a year before that. And then John Tidwell says, not able to join, but I've been running a saw off and on since I was a teenager. About 6 years since learning the correct way. And first cut last year at 48 years old. I was in a lift. So the chainsaw got a little bit too close to a leg in a lift there. And Trey Fissler, he said he was from Iowa, near Hopkinsville, Kentucky now. Oh, he's from Iowa, near Hopkinsville now. Yeah, lots of folks tonight. All right. Chris, tell a little bit about the things that you've got going on with needing some volunteers and stuff in any areas. Anything? Chris works with he works with us on training, but he also he's heading up the chainsaw with God's Pit Crew. So he has crews working all over the country.
Yeah, if anybody ever wanted to get involved with what we do, we always need skilled guys. So we go in and help after tornadoes and hurricanes. What we're kind of known for is doing the technical stuff. So we've got professional guys that come in and got climbers and running portal wraps, and we've got lift and a couple skid steers and excavators. But yeah, if anybody wanted to join us, you can go to the website, guyspitcrew.org. You can sign up there. I add you to my text stream, and we had shower trailers and big 53-foot tool trailer full of chainsaws, and we have a good time, hang out, and help some people that are really in a bad spot.
It's been a lot of storms this year, seems like. So a lot of people affected.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Mike, you back? Are you still looping on me? You're muted now.
How's that? Is that better? Can you hear me now?
I don't hear you but one time.
Huh.
That's good.
Man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Technology is amazing.
Yeah, when it works.
So how old were you when you first operating a saw, Mike?
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
I was 18 back in 1979 when I started, and kind of a backstory to that. So when I started for the city of Springfield, they put me on a sewer crew, and I thought, I was an 18-year-old kid, and all the guys around would stand there and laugh their butts off at me coming out of the sewer hole, dry heaving. And I said, you know what? I can't do this. There's no way I can do this. And so in 1978, we experienced one of those 100-year ice storms in Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talked to the boss, I said, hey, I said, there's no way I can do this sewer job. He goes, well, they're still cleaning up from the ice storm of last year. Why don't you go on the forestry crew and help them? And I got on there, and it's like, man, I want to be doing this for the rest of my life. I love this stuff. And 45 years later, I'm still doing it. So started in May of 79, tree cutting. And then, 45 years later, still going at it.
Wow.
I wonder if that's the same storm that we had out here on the Pacific coast. There was a freeze around Northern California, and there's a lot of imported exotic eucalyptus trees in San Francisco Bay Area, and a lot of them died. And they were saying that storm in the late 70s was responsible for a lot of insurance claims because the people had, big bills to get these big old honking ukes out of there. And I don't know if our weather arrives at your guys' front door about 3 days later or not?
It does, Michael. Yeah, it does. Yeah. We'll get weather from the West Coast quite a bit. Yeah. So yeah, that would have been 70, that would have been 78 when that ice storm went through here. So yeah, late 70s.
Mike, you're still doing some training, aren't you?
You know, I did for a while, Tim. I was going out to California, you know, doing the wildfires out there with those guys, with North American and working with the P&J crews. But, you know, it's just like that was some of the most dangerous work I've ever done in my life. All those burnout trees, and I mean, you know, some of those trees were over 200 foot tall.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys, I mean, they were actually climbing those trees, dangerous trees, bringing them down. And it's just like, you know what? I'm retired now. I really don't want to have somebody be a fatality while I'm there. And then I know after a lot of the trainers left, I think they did have two fatalities. So yeah. So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy life. I'm going to go on motorcycle rides and climb Kilimanjaro and have a little bit of fun.
You sound like Dwayne Newsteader now up there. So did you you know David Perkins, don't you?
I've heard of the name, Tim. Yeah.
RVP at House Fire. Now he's out in Vacaville, California.
Uh-huh.
He was doing a lot with Cinnabogan and the tree machines after the
Yeah.
fire there. And yeah, he said it was pretty dangerous work going on. But they had the machines working. I guess they were having to fell some of the bigger ones, but they were taking a lot of them down. I guess they're still cleaning up a lot of stubs and stuff till today. So
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
So,
yeah, that's I've done a little bit out in that area, but not on too much burn stuff. I did a little bit with the Forest Service on some burns out there, but um, back when I was on pretty not real large trees, but around Mount Rushmore and that area out through there, that was back in the late '80s, I think, when that fire happened.
uh-huh.
Yeah, that's some nasty work with the fire stuff.
That's nasty. Yeah, well, I went out there. I went out after I retired from the city in 2015. So I worked out there 2015, 16, and 17. And when I first started, you know, safety was really tight. I mean, it was, you know, we held the guys to high standards on safety. And then, you know, by mid, 2017, it was really starting to get lax. And it's like, yeah, you know, and yeah, it was just very difficult. And there was a lot of communication gaps there. A lot of the workers out there spoke Spanish. And yeah, it was quite an experience. I just leave it at that.
Mm. And it's a beautiful country, even with fire burn.
Yeah.
It's it gets you in shape going up and down there, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But it is nice soft wood. It's lightweight too. A little bit different than the Illinois hardwoods. But yeah, it's a neat part of the country out there.
Well, there's some sad parts about what we do because when people need help, they got money all of a sudden. When they need to get their yard fixed up, they maybe don't have the money. But storm chasing has been a big part of our industry, and in fact, I think before communications really got going, maybe pre-World War II, there was no such thing as communications. There was a phone book, and that was it. So how did arborists market their services back then? Well, they heard about a storm and they went there. And you show up and you're parked down there next to the library in some little podunk town, and you got people cruising by, and that's how you sell your services. These days, we have our own little grapevine called the internet, and that is one way that we do our storm chasing. I got involved with some ice storms. There's some beetle kill up in the Pacific Northwest where a lot of trees will die, usually near human habitation, and all that kind of stuff becomes very specialized. Like for example, on conifer trees, they want to salvage that lumber, which means that you got to go up in the tree and knock down lengths that are long enough to go in a sawmill. Well, heck, you're not the guy deciding how big of a piece you're going to cut. And for safety, that's not the way it should be. In fact, just contractor law says that if you are a contractor, you decide what you're going to do in your specifications. If you're an employee, yeah, the boss can tell you, okay, I want a 24-foot log off the top of this 33-foot pole. That is one hairy situation. If as some people here know, it's not like standing on the ground and making a face cut and a back cut and jumping out of the way. You're stuck there. So so this whole storm chasing urgency is a real safety factor for the modern day arborists, and we have to put our foot down. We got to be the ones that say, well, here's how it's going to be. It's going to be safe, and the money isn't going to drive the show. It's our self-preservation instinct. So I'd love to hear what some of the other people think about the difference between the contractor spec and the employee owner spec.
Yeah, I think it, the storms are one thing, and then you've got all the bugs and beetle kills. And I know Colorado was just acres and acres and acres of beetle kill pines. And, people thought they were kind of cool looking with orange for a while, but then all of a sudden it started to be a thing that was close to the buildings and even around the towns and stuff, parks or different walking trails and all that kind of stuff. And here you've got that stuff that's starting to get rotted, and then you send the guys out there because it's starting to fall and move and this kind of thing, and then you've got big time issues. And it's kind of like the same thing when you got climbers that have to get into areas that the fibers are kind of bad. So it's a never ending process of needing to have a good plan and an understanding and awareness of what needs to take place there. So
well, that wind element that you just brought up there, Tim, is great, because that's another one of the criteria for being a contractor versus an employee. You decide when you're going to do this work. A boss tells his employees when they're going to show up, and that can actually be more risky than somebody looking out and saying, wow, it's freezing, I ain't going out today. Sometimes that just is totally not feasible.
Yeah, it's hard to pick and choose it when you start looking at weather and the criteria and trying to a lot of drive times too. I know John Chafin was saying, they're driving about 2 hours to their logging site, and they've always had to do that in the Virginias. And so you start thinking about, you get up at 4 o'clock and you drive for 2 hours and get there at daylight, and then you work hard till it gets dark, and then you got to take care of your equipment and all that. And it happens the same way in the tree care business too. So it's never a dull moment. And even with city, county, and state, you got to have somebody that's doing it. So if you don't have people trained. I was talking to an interesting thing about, somewhat ties into what you're saying there, Michael. I was talking to a good friend up in Rhode Island, and he's been in training public works, and he's doing student things now across Connecticut and Massachusetts. And one of the things we got talking about today was when students or people show up to attend a class, what is their expectation? What is their thought process there? And he had 5 or 6 things of either they really didn't want to be there, but they were made to go. And then you've got the situation of they were made to go, and after they're there for a little while, they really enjoyed it because they learned something. And then you've got those that more or less they sent them over there because they didn't have anything else for them to do that day or week or whatever. And it goes on and on that way. And I plan to put together a little bit of a video on that, because I think that's something that I see quite often, is a lot of times for training, or you have new employees for a crew, and if they don't want to be there, how do you change that? And we got into that a little bit with looking at volunteers with the disaster groups also, is that your main function is to try to help the landowner there, and they're spreading friendship to all these people and love, and they want everybody to be happy with what they're doing on the site and stuff. But it comes back to, you got to make sure that you're covering basics of things so that everybody in that situation learns. If you skip over a little bit of the basics, and you expect people to be able to work on a consistent level basis of experience, because you always got people with more experience and less experience, no matter what you're in, whether business or disaster volunteers. But you gotta have a training system in your head that's going to try to get everybody to a level of some type. And not everybody needs a chainsaw, not everybody needs to get on a skid steer, not everybody needs to pull a rope, not everybody needs to move brush. There's all of those things, and you have to make sure that you have a training system that touches on all that stuff that you expect before you begin, or you're going to have problems coming about. And
Yeah.
they argue, or they complain, or they get ticked off because you don't think they know something. And if you don't explain to them what the expectations are, it's very hard to be able to have a level communication there and get the job done profitably and safely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, folks, it's about time to wrap up tonight, and I know there's a big thing on TV in just a few minutes, so I guess it's something to watch. But I want to thank everybody for dropping in tonight, and been some good conversations. And you pick up people. I did that Zoom session Monday night, and started to talk to people, and Ken was on, and I mean, Lee Dawkins was on, and he started talking about what he was doing, and chainsawing, and had some questions about technical side of saw, because he's got 2 or 3 saws. And you start looking at how many different situations there are out there. So don't ever be scared to pass along what you know, and help as many people that pick up saws as possible, because there's still every situation. Every week I hear different situations of people getting injured, or tree went the wrong way, or whatever it might be. And a little bit of good planning processes and a little bit of thought can really make it happen. So keep it from happening, let me put it that way.
There you go.
But Lee, I appreciate you dropping by, and if
Yes, sir.
you'll send me an address, I'll send you that cap. I appreciate it. I'm gonna do another
Oh,
I'm gonna do another one here in a few days, and so if you know of anybody that's interested, I'm trying to collect these things as far as how information got from here to there. And
yes, sir.
learned at a young age, and that's how I got started. Cutting firewood about 14, and is something where after that you start to meet people, and they start sharing information with you, and it just keeps going. And pretty soon you're old like Mike and I, and you just sit back and listen to others. It's pretty cool. But I go tomorrow for another CT scan, and my CEA, which that's a marker for cancer. After my surgeries and all the last, which is in November, I had a CEA of about I think 3, which is somewhat normal after all of that happened. And now they're kind of concerned it's 15, so that's about 10 markers over. So they're doing a CAT scan tomorrow and find out if it's spread anywhere. But I'm feeling good. That's kind of what I go about. I went through radiation on skin cancer, and then the other, and so keep me in your thoughts and prayers if you would, and
Absolutely, Tim.
we'll try to stick it out here as long as we can.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yes, sir.
keep us in touch, and next Thursday night, y'all come back. We're gonna come up with another topic and talk about it. So you can check
Absolutely.
8 p.m.
Mike Loxman, good seeing you.
Hey, we'll see you on Facebook and on YouTube.
Absolutely, brother.
On YouTube lately.
See you, Lee, and
Yes, sir. Good night, man.
Chris. Appreciate
Yes,
y'all.
sir.
All right.
See you, Tim.